Rights groups are reportedly claiming that some Malaysian palm oil plantations are discouraging foreign workers from going home at the end of their contracts and are asking them to keep working instead. This as the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbates the persistent manpower shortage in the sector. According to Reuters, Hong Kong-based anti-trafficking group Liberty Shed said it had interviewed dozens of plantation workers in Malaysia, and many had said they wanted to leave but had been told they could not because of coronavirus restrictions. Duncan Jepson, Liberty Shed's MD, told the Newswire the complaints include being discouraged from leaving, being asked to keep working, paid in cash or not paid at all, paid late, promised a ticket home, and then that promise isn't satisfied. Labour rights group Verite and local NGO Tenaga Nita reportedly said they had received similar complaints. The report said all three groups believed the issue was common and that thousands of workers could be affected. According to the report, the Ministry of Human Resources said it had not received any such complaint but viewed allegations seriously and urged NGOs to report them. Meanwhile, Felda told Reuters it had not received any reports of such cases, while Sime Darby Plantation said it had repatriated 1,125 workers since July, and any suggestion of forcing workers to stay was baseless. The Kuala Lumpur High Court has fixed February 8th and 9th, 2021 to hear the prosecution's application to forfeit luxury items allegedly linked to 1MDB that were seized from premises belonging to Obu Holdings. The court also fixed January 15th for case management. The government had filed the forfeiture action against Obu Holdings following a raid conducted by the police 2 years ago on pavilion residences in Kuala Lumpur. Obu Holdings is owned by Tan Sri Bustari Yusof, who is a younger brother of former Works Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof and close associate of former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak. In the notice of motion filed against the company, the items included 11,991 pieces of jewellery, 401 watches and 16 watch accessories, 234 pairs of eyewear and 306 handbags. It also included cash in various denominations, totaling 114.16 million ringgit, purportedly belonging to UMNO. The political party and Najib, who wanted separate hearings for their claims on the cash, will have their case heard before the prosecution's forfeiture application. Meanwhile, Lebanese jeweller Global Royalty Trading, which allegedly sent 44 pieces of jewellery to Datin Seri Rosmah Mansor, is also challenging the forfeiture. The prosecution of Datin Seri Rosmah Mansor's corruption trial has closed its case after more than 20 witnesses testified on the case over 33 days. Senior Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Sri Gopal Sri Ram says the prosecution will offer 10 witnesses to the defence. At the top of the list is ex-Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak. Rosmah is accused of soliciting 187.5 million ringgit from Jebat Holdings to help the firm secure a 1.25 billion ringgit project to supply solar hybrid power to 369 schools in Sarawak. Rosmah is also accused of receiving 5 million ringgit in 2016 and another 1.5 million ringgit in 2017 to ensure that Jebat secured the contract. High Court Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan set December 28, 2020 for written submissions to be filed by the defence, while replies by the prosecution are required to be submitted to the court by January 4, 2021. He set February 10, 2021 as the next date to hear the case. The FBM KLCI closed 30.19 points or 1.83% higher at 1,684.58 today, driven by a rally in banking and financial services related stocks as investors switched to recovery play, boosted by vaccine-fueled optimism. Leading the rally was Public Bank, which closed 8.42% or 1 ringgit 70 cent higher at 21 ringgit 90 cent. Other financial blue chips that posted gains were Hong Leong Financial Group, Hong Leong Bank, Maybank, AMMB Holdings, BIMB Holdings, Aeon Credit Service Malaysia, CIMB Group Holdings, LPI Capital and Allianz Malaysia. This drove the Financial Services Index up 727.09 points to 16,046.13 points. Overall, however, losers still outpaced gainers across the board today, with 690 in the red versus 626 in the green, while 433 counters were unchanged. 10.03 billion shares valued at 6.19 billion ringgit were traded. Glove stocks, meanwhile, continued to dominate the top losers list amid the switch-up in thematic play, with Harta Lega Holdings heading the list after falling 64 sen or 4.46% to 13 ringgit 72. MIDF Head of Research, Imran Yassin Muhammad Yusof, told the edgemarkets.com that the rally was centered around optimism about an economic recovery. However, he believes that the market was moving slightly ahead and may lose steam next week. Building materials trader Ipmuda was slapped with an unusual market activity query by Bursa Malaysia today over the sharp rises in its share price and volume recently that lifted the stock to its highest in over 4 years. The counter hit limit up earlier today after jumping 30 sen to 1 ringgit 5 sen before pairing gains to close still 12 sen or 16% higher at 87 sen for a market cap of 63 million ringgit. The counter is now trading at over 3 times the low of 18 sen it reached on May 28th. On Monday, the company announced that business tycoon Tan Sri Abu Sahid Mohamad had ceased to be its substantial shareholder after his flagship company Maju Holdings sold 2.55 million shares, representing a 3.52% stake in the company via a direct business transaction. He is now left with a direct shareholding of 1.71 million shares or a 2.36% stake. Abu Sahid previously directly held a 9.2% stake, or 6.67 million shares in Ipmuda, along with 12.99% or 9.42 million indirect shares. But the tycoon has been trimming his stake in Ipmuda, both held directly and indirectly, and also transferred some of his directly held shares to his daughter last month.